Describe the environment you grew up in.
I would say that it was much cleaner, especially the air, the rivers, and the ocean. I cannot really say. Perhaps, no, I think that, I actually think the oceans are in much dire shape today than they were 60, 70, 80 years ago.
Did you live in the country or the suburbs?
We lived out in the country on a farm.
Did you go to a public school or a private school?
I attended public school.
How many siblings did you have?
I have one sister, Anna Marie.
Did you come from an ethnically diverse community?
Yes.
Would you say your family was poor, well off, or in between?
I would say in between. And the ethnic citizens or individuals that were in our community, coming back to the other question, is they were primarily Filipino, which were the farm workers at that time, and they were good, honest, hardworking individuals, which I went to school with many of their children.
What is your fondest memory from your childhood?
On our farm, we had many animals, and since I am very partial to them, that was a joy with very wonderful memories.
Did your mother work outside the home?
Yes.
What was her job?
She was a house cleaner, a housekeeper, and she was also a caretaker.
Why did she have that job?
We had to supplement the family income since we had a very small farm.
What is the highest level of education you have completed?
I graduated from high school.
Which high school did you graduate from?
Salinas Union High School.
Did you go to public schools or private schools?
Public.
Do you remember doing disaster drills in school?
Yes.
Was your school segregated?
No.
Did it have many girls' sports teams?
No.
Do you remember any of the major events of the Civil Rights era?
Yes.
Were you an active participant in any of them, or know of anyone who was an active participant?
Yes, I was very active in the Civil Rights movement.
How do you feel about the Civil Rights movement back at the time?
I did, and I do feel that all individuals, legal immigrants and American citizens should have the right to vote and all the other benefits of our country.
Do you feel the same way about it now?
Yes.
Do you have any strong memories of the Vietnam War?
Yes.
Were you a veteran of the war?
No.
Did you protest against the war?
Definitely yes.
Did you know anyone who served in the Vietnam War or who also protested against
Yes.
it? Why did you protest against the war?
I'm a pacifist.
Has your view since then changed at all?
Not at all.
Do you recall your whereabouts when the death of President John Kennedy in November 1963 was announced?
Yes.
How did you hear about it?
It was announced on the radio.
And who were you with?
I was with our two sons, small sons.
How about the death of Martin Luther King Jr.?
And that was the same on the radio and with our two sons.
What was the general mood in your community when it happened?
Shock and sadness.
How did your family react to it?
Also very sad about the tragic event.
Did you watch the landing of Americans on the moon in July 1969 on television?
Yes.
What were your feelings of this event as you watched it?
It made history, and it was quite an accomplishment. It took much bravery, and it will be, I certainly hope that the exploration of space continues.
Do you recall the United Farm Workers strikes against farmers in 1970s and 80s?
Yes.
Were you involved either for or against the UFW strikes led by Cesar Chavez?
Yes, I was involved, and I feel that all individuals that work honestly and work hard are entitled to a living wage.
What are your general feelings about the UFW strikes?
I believe that all individuals that work hard and honestly are entitled to a living wage, and so that they also can afford to have a roof over their head and food on their table for their families.
Did you know anyone before 1980 who was openly gay or homosexual?
No.
Do you recall the 1980 presidential election between Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan?
Yes.
Who did you support?
I actually didn't support 100% either candidate, but I did finally decide to vote for Jimmy Carter because of the issues.
What impact did the events of 9/11 have on you?
I was suspicious. I am still very suspicious. I feel that it has taken away many of our constitutional rights. It has opened the door to taking away many of our constitutional rights. President George Bush stated that at that time, or before that incident, that we needed another Pearl Harbor. And I hope that someday the truth will certainly be revealed to all of us.
Do you believe that this event still has an impact on your life?
Most definitely on all of our lives.
After interviewing my grandmother about the different topics she was questioned about, not only did I become more informed about the topics, I also felt like they were more personal to me, versus when I just learned about them in class or read them online. Realizing that I actually knew someone alive and well during the time of these happenings made it easier not only to relate to these events and how they have shaped my life, but also being talked to about these events by my grandmother helped me to comprehend the events better rather than just reading about them online.